Hi everyone, my name is Jaslyn Norman. Today I'm going to be making a video on the subject of climate change and the two different perspectives or points of views that are had on the matter. Before we get started, I'm just going to go over some terminology and some disclaimers. Climate alarmists are known as the consensus, climate deniers are known as the minority, and this is not a discussion whether or not climate change is real or if global temperatures are rising, more so what each side has to say about the subject. I will not be referring to climate change as global warming, as this does not encapsulate the history of climate change accurately. Now that we've got that out the way, we can get started with our first topic or point. I'm going to call this point the introduction, as this will be the explanation of what each side bases their arguments on. This argument being what they think causes climate change. In this video, I will be referring to carbon dioxide as CO2, so just keep that in mind. So, what causes climate change? The consensus believes that their argument is based on a singular idea that CO2 is the control knob of Earth's climate, meaning that CO2 and the Earth's climate have a direct relationship. If CO2 is high, then climate will be high. CO2 is a greenhouse gas, meaning it gets trapped in the Earth's atmosphere, causing the planet to warm. The consensus believes that humans have had a great contribution on the rise of CO2 with the recent increase of the burning of fossil fuels, them being coal, oil, and gas. Meaning, humans have caused the increase of global temperatures. Now, let's get into what the minority feels about what causes climate change. The minority does agree that global temperature is rising, but they think that it is much more complicated than only being caused by humans. It is unclear how much of the warming is actually caused by CO2 in general. They believe it is more complicated than just one reason, and that the consensus makes it seem so simple by saying it's CO2 and that fossil fuels are contributing to the rise of CO2. In reality, there is more than one cause of the increase in CO2, such as outgassing. Outgassing is a process where when water warms up, it causes the gases trapped in the water to dissolve, thus releasing them into the air. One of these gases being CO2. So when the temperature rises, CO2 also rises due to outgassing, showing that there is a correlation between the two, being CO2 and temperature, but not necessarily a causation. Now, let's get on to our next topic. For this next topic, I will be discussing the hockey stick graph. Just for a little bit of background on the hockey stick graph, the hockey stick graph is a graph that was published by climate scientist Michael Mann in 1998. The consensus claims that this graph is heavy evidence that temperature has had a spike since the use of fossil fuels, aka the increase of human-made CO2. This graph is deemed accurate and has been replicated by many scientists, whom of which have come to the same conclusion. They also claim that the medieval warm period was not only global, but regional, so it seems as if the Earth is just now reaching these higher temperatures. Now, the minority's view on the hockey stick graph. The minority acknowledges that this data has been able to be replicated by scientists, but all these scientists have been in some way connected to Michael Mann, which leaves room for suspicion. Ross McKittrick, a Canadian economics professor, and Stephen McIntyre, a Canadian expert in statistics, caught wind of this graph. It seemed to them that it was similar to graphs produced by companies that exaggerate their success for business prospects. They do this by mining for just the right data that will give the graph just the right look, in this case, the hockey stick. After studying the graph and Michael Mann's data, McKittrick and Stephen McIntyre concluded that cherry picking had been done here to give that hockey stick shape. Cherry picking is when someone picks relevant data points to fit their narrative. Michael Mann had done this here by using two different data sets and gave one more weight to give the graph that dramatic increase. There have been many studies that the medieval warm period was indeed real and was global. Not only was it about as warm as current temperatures, it was most likely warmer. This adds to the minority's view that the Earth has gone through something like this before, way before fossil fuels. So humans burning fossil fuels may not be the main contributing factor to the warming of the Earth. Now, for our last topic, we'll be talking about predictions of impending doom. Impending doom refers to the predictions made by the consensus in order to scare people to stop using fossil fuels. So, The consensus makes these predictions of Earth's state in the future by using scientific data. One prediction that is being focused on is the rise of sea levels, meaning that some nations will soon be completely underwater if people do not start taking this seriously and do something to help lower the amount of human-produced CO2. The minority feels as if making these predictions is desirable but not also always applicable. There have been many incidents where the consensus had made these doomsday predictions and turned scaring people, then these predictions do not end up coming to fruition. The Earth's climate has gone through many warming and cooling periods, so making people believe that this is the result of recent burning of fossil fuels and that it's their job to now quit to save the planet is deception. The consensus implying that there is a way for humans to stop the sea levels rising by burning less fossil fuels is misdirected because there is a history of sea levels rising in Earth's history, and it seems as if the sea levels are going to rise regardless. So telling people to do better and save themselves from the rising sea levels is giving false hope. Now, this last slide is an example of one of the doomsday predictions that the consensus had made in the past. This article is published by the Associated Press in June 24, 2008. It predicted that in 10 years there will be an ice-free Arctic, indicating no ice left in the Arctic because of the warming. 10 years later was 2018, and would you look at that, there was still indeed ice in the Arctic. Even in 2024, there is still ice in the Arctic. So this concludes all my points, 1 being what causes climate change, 2 being the hockey stick graph, and 3 being doomsday predictions. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.